We're going to give it a few seconds. Welcome, Clayton County. My name is Nell German from the Northwest Branch, and I'm here today with the author Tracey Hecht, author of the Nocturnal series. And we are so excited to have you here. Thank you for coming. And she is here today to talk to you about learning courage through stories. And so without further ado, Tracey Hecht.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracey. I'm the author of a book series, which I'm going to share with you right now. It's called The Nocturnals. And I thought what we could do today was a workshop around one of the books. And the book you can see next to my picture right there, it's called The Slithery Shakedown. And in a minute, we'll start reading a piece of this book. But first, what I thought we would do is we would talk a little bit about feelings. Because one of the reasons I like writing books and one of the reasons I really like books is because stories help us understand our own feelings and our own actions. Now, if you think about it, when you look at these characters, in the center, you can see a character who's mad. That's Bismarck, the sugar glider. And you can see him with his steam coming out of his ears. He's angry. And he's saying underneath it, I don't want to. Now, how many of you have been in a mood where you were mad because you had to do something you didn't want to do? I have definitely felt that way. Or how about happy, like the character just to the side of Bismarck called Tobin, who's a pangolin, where Tobin says, I'm so excited, right? And we've all felt that way too. Or Dawn the fox with her head tilted and she's saying, what is that? Because she's confused. We've all had feelings like that. And listening to stories helps us find those feelings in ourselves and identify, understand what another character's feeling because we've had them on our own. So today we're going to talk a little bit about courage. So how many of you out there know what it is, courage? Do you know what courage is? Well, we oftentimes say courage is what it is to be brave when you're having an experience that feels new or scary or difficult. What are feelings that are like courage? For some of you who might already be able to read, can you read some of these feelings that are like courage? How about feeling brave or feeling fearless or spunky? Or how about feeling bold? These are feelings that are like courage. But showing courage and having courage can be something that is not always as obvious as we think. Can you think about ways that you have shown courage or that you build your own courage? What about speaking up for something you believe in? Telling someone how you really feel. That takes courage, right? Have any of you ever done that? Yeah, that takes a lot of courage. Or what about if somebody's not nice to your friend or your family member and you stand with them, you stand beside them and don't let them be treated that way? That takes courage to stand up for a friend too. And I have one that I really like, which is sometimes if I'm feeling like I need some courage, I wear a special piece of clothing that makes me feel strong. I have a sweater that makes me feel strong and makes me feel a little bit more confident. And maybe some of you have confident clothing too. It also helps sometimes to remember the ways we've been brave. Even talking about the things we just talked about around speaking up for yourself or somebody else, or standing by someone you care about, or even putting something on your body that you wear that makes you feel brave. Those are ways that you can remind yourself that you have courage and have brave moments. Okay, I want to read a little bit of a story. It's called The Slithery Shakedown. And in the story we're going to start a little bit into the story. And we're going to read what happens when Dawn the fox and Bismarck the sugar glider and Tobin the pangolin have to demonstrate courage. So if you can, read along with me. There's a lot of sight words in here that you might know, or even words that you might have already have learned. And you can read the words with me on the page. So let's get started. We'll start at chapter 3. Did someone say breakfast? The snake said. Bismarck spun around. Behind him was a long, blue, shimmery snake. The snake slid from the grass. The snake raised its head. The snake flicked its flickery tongue. Bismarck, look out, Dawn cried. Bismarck froze. The snake slithered closer. Scrumptious, the snake said, a scrawny little sugar glider, the perfect snack. Bismarck screamed. Save me, Bismarck cried. The snake will turn me into sugar glider stew. Bismarck scurried behind Dawn. Dawn narrowed her eyes. Dawn took a step forward. Stop, Dawn told the snake. This sugar glider is not your snack. The snake swished its tail. Says who? The snake replied. Says me, Dawn shot back. Tobin looked at his small sugar glider friend. Tobin summoned his courage. And me, Tobin said. See, Bismarck shouted. Says she and he. Bismarck pointed to his friends. Oh, and me, Bismarck said. The snake stared at the fox. The fox stared at the snake. The sugar glider and the pangolin stared too. This was a standoff. The snake gave a sly smile. The snake stretched very tall. Try and stop me, the snake said. Certainly, Dawn replied. Sure thing, Tobin added. Seriously? Bismarck bawled. The snake got ready to spring. Dawn snarled. Slither back where you came from, Dawn told the snake. Tobin raised a sharp taloned claw. Take off, Tobin told the snake. Bismarck took a deep breath. Yeah, beat it, you bully, Bismarck sputtered. The snake studied the three friends, one tall, one small, one medium, but together, tough stuff. The snake sputtered. On second thought, the snake said, it might be time for me to skedaddle. Sayonara. And the snake slithered back into the woods. Okay, so since we're talking about courage, when you think about that segment of the book that I just read, which of these animals showed courage? Did Dawn, the fox, show courage? Do you think Dawn showed courage? Can you think about the ways that she did? And how about Tobin the pangolin? Did Tobin the pangolin show courage? Can you think about the ways that Tobin the pangolin did? But what about Bismarck? Did Bismarck show courage? I think all of these characters did. I think Dawn stood up to the snake and spoke her mind. And I think Tobin found his courage and spoke up too. And even Bismarck, who was afraid the whole time, he spoke his mind and stood up for himself at the end too. And I think that's a really important thing, is that even sometimes if you're scared on the inside or scared on the outside, you can still have and show courage, because courage and fear sometimes exist together in the same place and the same time. I wonder if you were thinking about yourself standing up to a bully, maybe not a snake bully, but maybe a human bully. How would you have felt? What would you have felt if someone wasn't nice to one of your friends, or someone wasn't nice to you? What would you have done? Could you have thought of some ways to be strong or brave? If you want to share some with me, you can send me a note, or you can even just think about them on your own, because I think there's lots of ways to show courage and strength. You can walk away. You can speak your mind. You can not stand for what someone says. There are a lot of ways to show courage. And sometimes showing courage isn't even as direct as standing up to a bully. Sometimes we show courage in ways that we don't even think are courageous. How many of you have ever tried a food that you really didn't want to eat? How many of you were told you had to eat something and you didn't want to eat it? Maybe it was a vegetable that you weren't familiar with, or a kind of fish or meat, or something you didn't want to taste. Sometimes it takes bravery and courage to taste a new food. How about moving to a new house? Have any of you had to move to a new house? That can show courage, right? Or like we talked about, standing up to a bully. I even was thinking that, sometimes we think we're going to do something, we have a plan, and we have to change our plan. Like maybe we think we're going to start a school year and go to school in our classroom, but we have to do some days at home in our house, right? That takes a lot of courage to be able to change your plan, right? So maybe you all are showing courage every single day.
We do have one comment that I'd like to share. One of our visitors said, I would stand up for my friend, even if it meant I would get picked on too. I think that's really brave.
It is really brave, because oftentimes when you stand up for somebody, the person who's the bully, the person picking on the friend, then they sometimes pick on you instead. So it does take a lot of bravery to do it. I'm glad you shared that with us. Even sharing with me during a presentation takes bravery. So thank you for doing that. And actually, it's good timing, because what I thought we would do is we would all do a drawing activity. So if you have a piece of paper with you, great. And if you don't, just see if you can grab one really quickly, and maybe a pencil or some coloring pencils or some pens. And I thought what we would draw are ways in which we have courage in ourselves. And we can use the same examples that we've talked about today, or you can think about new things that I haven't talked about that are very personal to your own life. So what we'll do is we'll trace our hand, and then what we can do is on each of our fingers, we can make a drawing or write a word that is a way in which we have shown courage. So maybe you have eaten broccoli and you really didn't like broccoli, or a different food. That could be an example that you could use. You could also, sometimes in school, you're given a new challenge that you're not sure you can do. Maybe it's a new math problem. Maybe it's a spelling quiz. Maybe it's reading something that feels like you might not be able to do it. But taking a new challenge at school is a great way to show courage. Or how about any of you, have you ever had a new family member? Maybe some of you have gotten a new sibling, a new brother or a sister. Or maybe you've met somebody who is new to the family because they're going to become a partner, or be married, or a special friend to someone in your family. That can take courage, expanding your family. Or how about reading a long book? Sometimes I get a new book and it feels too long even for me. And I think this is something I need to show courage. I need to try my best and give it a shot. Or how about if somebody needs help, just helping someone out? The example I used here for the thumb was maybe someone loses something and you want to help them find it. Like maybe your neighbor lost their cat and you want to help them find their cat. So while you draw these things and think of these things that where you show courage, take your time. You don't even have to fill in all of your fingers right now. You can draw them over the next couple of days, because the idea is that you can have this in your house. You can put it on your refrigerator. You can keep it in a special place in your room. And these are all the things that will remind you, if you're feeling a little bit nervous or a little bit afraid, it will remind you that there are lots and lots of ways that you have courage every day. You have courage by showing up to this and watching this right now. You have courage by coming up with the things that make you brave. And you have so many other things you do in your day that are courageous. So keeping a reminder of that is a really good idea. I also thought if you're feeling courageous, you might want to try some other books by the Nocturnals, where we talk about other things besides courage, like in The Tasty Treat, where Don, Tobin, and Bismarck learn about kindness and sharing? Or how about in The Peculiar Possum, where we talk a little bit about empathy, about trying to understand what someone else is feeling or how someone else feels. That takes a lot of attention to try to understand how someone else is feeling, not just how we are. Or how about in The Weeping Wombat, which is all about what it means to express our feelings, not just the easy ones like being happy or excited, but the more complicated ones like being sad or afraid. Those are good ones to think about too. So if you're feeling courageous and you want to read some other books with different emotions, you can try some other books in the Nocturnal series too. In fact, more than those, you can look at all of these books, and I'm pretty sure your library will have most of them, if not all of them, and they can help you find them and read them together.
We definitely do have these library books, and every branch has them available for you to look at.
Which is really fun, because now that you've done this workshop, when you get these books, I'm going to take this down. When you get these books, you know just what to look for when you're reading them. You'll find an emotion that you can relate to, which is one of the things that make it so much fun about stories, is that you can relate to how Don, Tobin, and Bismarck are feeling. And you can think about ways in your life that you share about the ways that they're experiencing stories that you're reading about, which is really fun. And I, as a writer, love to do it, because when I'm thinking about my characters, I'm also thinking about me, because I have all these feelings too. I have feelings where I'm afraid and I need to show courage. I have feelings where I have lots of big emotions that I want to express that are sometimes complicated. There's lots of fun things to do about being an author and writing these stories. And I would love for you to check them out and learn from them and have other ideas of your own. So I just want to thank you all for coming today. And the Nocturnals is in the library for you if you want to go find more stories with Don, Tobin, and Bismarck. And you can always send me notes through your librarian too, if you have things you want to share with me or questions you have on any of the books that you read.
We do have another comment. Feelings can be super hard to express. Happy to have learned about the series today.
I think feelings are one of the hardest things ever to express, because sometimes we're not even sure what our feelings mean. Sometimes we get a feeling in our stomach or in our body, and we're not even sure what that feeling is. Like, I don't know if you felt this way, but maybe when you had to change from going to school in your classroom and go to school in your home or somewhere outside of the classroom, you had to figure out lots of emotions. Maybe part of you was sad. Maybe part of you wasn't sad. Maybe part of you was even a little bit relieved. There's all these emotions that sometimes overlap each other and aren't the same. And so figuring out how we feel and then figuring out how to share the things we feel takes a lot of effort. And I agree with you, it can be really complicated and hard, but I think we can do it. And I think we can use stories to help ourselves figure out how we feel and ways that we can make ourselves feel stronger. If we don't have any other questions right now, you can send them in later. But I do want to thank you for having me today. And I want to thank you for reading the book with me. And I look forward to hearing from you when you read the other stories from the Nocturnals.
Thank you so much. This was great. And the stories are a lot of fun. I hope you guys definitely come in and check them out. They are a lot of fun to read.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great week.